The garden was planted 5 weeks ago now, so it's time to do a garden tour. Let's talk about what's going well, what's not going so well, and what we're going to change for next year. Whether you're just starting out gardening or you just want to make improvements, my biggest advice to you would be to find someone who has gardened and has mastered the skill. Whether that be somebody that you've met online or somebody that you know personally, there's nothing like taking advice from someone who has done it for years and who has mastered it. And most of the time, people are really happy to give you all the advice that you need. And one last thing before we get into it, something I wish I had known many years ago when I started my very first garden is your soil health is where it all starts. If your soil is not healthy, then you don't have healthy plants and you don't have healthy fruits. Just over the last couple years, I've started to understand how soil health is so important for your garden. I'm really lucky and grateful that I have a mentor right in my back pocket whenever I need it. My dad has studied soil health for the last 30 years. He's an organic dairy farmer and has truly mastered the skill of growing healthy crops. So having him as a mentor whenever I need him when it comes to soil health has been so helpful, and I'm very grateful. One thing that I just started doing this year was growing my plants in blocks like this. So rather than having rows, I decided to do blocks. And one reason why I like growing things in blocks is you can focus on just one block while you're weeding or while you're pruning or just paying attention to the plant while you're harvesting the fruits. And it's honestly not as overwhelming as it would be had they been in rows. So that's just one small thing of why I like to grow in blocks. And another thing is some things pollinate better when they're grown together in clusters or blocks like this. Like this corn, for example. Corn is pollinated by the wind. So when the corn tassels, the wind will blow the pollen off of the tassels and it will land on the silk of the ear of corn. And that's what pollinates your ear of corn and creates the kernels on your cob. So planting corn in a cluster is super helpful for pollination. It can still have rows within the blocks, but planting in a block rather than one or two long rows is so much better for pollination. One thing that I want to change next year is I have these arches that have my vine plants on it, which I absolutely love. I'm definitely going to do that again next year, but I'm going to add another arch here right in the center, and I'll probably do the smaller fruits on that like cucumbers and yellow squash. But this year I put my watermelon here and I did cantaloupe over there. Or over there actually. So those are vined plants and I just didn't have room for them on the arched trellis. So I kept them in here, but I know that when they start vining out, they're going to be going in the walkways. So I'm definitely gonna add another arch next year. And I'll put the larger fruit like watermelon and cantaloupe on the side so we're not walking underneath it, but definitely keeping the arches, just adding another one. Another thing that I'm going to change for next year is trying to get my cauliflower, my cabbage and my broccoli and my Brussels sprouts up off the ground somehow, whether that be with a raised bed or something of that nature, because the cabbage worms really got to some of my plants this year. Mostly the cabbage, the cauliflower, and the broccoli. So like this plant, they really decimated some of the leaves, which is disappointing, but I try to keep an organic garden, so I'm not going to be spraying for those things. I do remove the cabbage worms whenever I see them, but I don't always catch them. Luckily, they didn't really get to my Brussels sprouts too much. There's a few leaves that they got to, but these I tried to prune as much as possible on the ground level so that the worms couldn't get onto the leaves, and they grew rather quickly, a lot more quickly than the broccoli, cabbage, and the cauliflower. So definitely changing next year is getting these brassica plants up off of the ground to try to get rid of those cabbage worms. Something I'm going to continue doing next year is having the marigolds. I have the marigolds throughout the entire garden. There's only a few blocks where I don't have the marigolds. They repel all sorts of insects and pests, and they're doing a great job of it. My tomatoes are doing great. They're all intertwined with those. They're intertwined with the carrots and the lettuce. I've had really good luck with having marigolds. So I'm definitely going to continue doing that. Also, when it comes to pest repellent, I'm going to continue planting my onions throughout the garden as well. So I have onions planted down this entire side here with my brassica plants, my beans, my carrots, my lettuce, my spinach, as well as with the tomatoes. So I have onions growing all down through there as well. And onions repel pests and insects and all sorts of things with their smell. So I'm definitely going to continue doing that as well. And back to the corn, another thing that I'm going to do next year, but change a little bit, is the three sisters method. Although we only have two sisters here, we have the corn and we have the peas. So the theory is the peas will use the corn as a trellis. So I'm going to continue doing that next year. However, I'm going to change it a bit where I plant the corn first. And then once the corn pops up, I'm then going to plant the peas, because what happened this year is the girls are always helping me plant, which I absolutely love, and I won't change a thing about that. When we planted the corn and then the peas right next to it. But not being able to see where we planted, although we planted them at the same time, the peas kind of got away from the corn a little bit. Some of them are kind of really far away, as you can see here. So I'm just going to wait next year until I'm going to plant the corn first, and then I'm going to wait until the corn shoots up about an inch or two tall, and then I'm going to plant the peas right next to it, so that I know that every pea plant has a stalk of corn in order to climb up on and use it as a trellis. Because unfortunately, some of these peas are taking a while to hook onto the corn, and I'm afraid they might end up dying or, just being too wet laying in the soil. So definitely going to continue the three sisters method with these two sisters here next year, just do it a little bit differently. One thing that I did this year that I think is kind of fun and I encourage you to do is go to the greenhouse and pick out a couple plants that you've never planted before and just pick a spot in your garden to put them. So this year I have planted cantaloupe and beets before, but I haven't done them in a while. So I threw them in this bed, but I also did some artichoke, just one plant of artichoke. I've never grown that before. I'm not sure how well it's going to do. It seems to be doing okay right now. But that's a new one. And then celery. I've never planted this. It seems to be doing well right now. So I hope it continues, but I don't know. I just think it's kind of fun to plant some things that you've never planted before, throw them in your garden. And if it fails, it's okay. You're not really out anything because you weren't, relying on them. But if you succeed at it, then you've just, learned how to plant something new and you get to enjoy the harvest off of it. So highly encourage you to go to the greenhouse, pick out something you've never planted before, and then just throw it in your garden and see how it does. Another thing that I started doing this year to encourage the birds to leave my plants alone is I put up this bird feeder. So we have a couple plants here. I need to fill the feed up and change the water, but there's water here. There's two different types of bird feed. So the theory is don't fight against the birds. Work with them. Put the plants or put their feed and their water near your garden. Encourage them to go there rather than eating off of your plants here. Not sure how well it's going to go. I do have some fruit growing, like tomatoes that they would normally eat, but they're not ripe yet. So we've got some tomatoes here. So I'm hoping they leave them alone because they have the feed there. So that's the theory. Feed the birds, work with the birds. Don't try to fight them away because you will always lose unless you have a complete enclosed area where your garden is. And we don't have a roof over our garden or anything. So work with the birds. Don't work against them. Another thing that I really like about the garden this year is this fence. So this is like a wildlife fence. I just got it off Amazon. It was really inexpensive and super, super easy to put up. I put this up all by myself. It only took me an afternoon. I also got these posts off of Amazon. They're really lightweight, easy to pound in the ground. But my favorite thing about it is you can see through the fence because the whole idea is to be able to enjoy your garden wherever you are on your property, and being able to see through the fence, whether I'm inside looking out at the girls playing or I'm on the outside and just want to check out my plants. I like to be able to see through my fence, and this is very, very see-through, and it has kept out all sorts of pests. I have no pests in this garden other than the cabbage worm so far. I don't have any, rabbits or anything like that coming in here. This keeps the chickens out, keeps my dogs out, but my daughter just left the gate open, so she's in here right now. But keeps all the pests out. I've been really, really happy with it. So definitely going to continue this fence year after year. And I will link the fence and the post down below in the description for you as well. I also have herbs planted throughout, like basil, oregano, parsley, dill, rosemary, and that will act as a pest repellent as well, just because of the scent that they give off. And by no means is my garden perfect. Every year I'm adapting and trying to improve pretty much everything in the garden.
There's always room for improvement on anything you do. So continue being a learner and a student in everything garden-wise. I truly love seeing what works, what doesn't work, and trying new things year after year. It's exciting to see what will work and what doesn't.
The last thing that I'm going to do next year, and it's not plant related, is to have this area in the front of my garden. I really like it to be able to sit here and enjoy my coffee whenever I want. It's a nice place to come and put your harvest on this table while you're harvesting your vegetables. It's just a nice place for a catch-all. We keep our gardening tools here. It's nice and clean because we have these patio pavers here. And I just really enjoy having a spot to sit in the garden, inside of the garden, inside of the fence. I find it very peaceful out here. So if you have space, I highly encourage this as well. It's been a really nice addition to our garden. Thanks so much for watching. And for more gardening content like this, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. I'll see you next time.